they can be in their classroom doing the techniques. It doesn't have to always be this just mat work. I feel like a lot of times there's this misconception of yoga that that's all it is some asanas, and that's it.
Oh, wow. I mean, I guess it just started off with 3 guys who kind of had this vision that we wanted to save the world, kind of, you know. We saw a lot of suffering in our neighborhood and what was going on with all the people around there, and we had our own yogic practice, and I think that the transformation that happened within us, we wanted to happen with everyone. You know, it was hard to be blissing so much and be so happy and then step out your door and see just everyone miserable and suffering. So I think, you know, our practice just enabled us to have the vision and the spirit to want to try to reach as many people as we could. And we got an opportunity with these 20 kids, and instead of teaching them football, taught them yoga, and it just snowballed from there. I think that people saw how they started transforming, and next thing you know, we're in newspapers and on TV and going to Germany and Austria and stuff like that. So I think that's, you know, that's basically how it blew up, kind of. I mean, it was, so the first 8 to 9 years, we didn't get paid anything for any of this. Yeah, so we had part-time jobs. We worked at a Shepherd Pratt. It's a mental health place where we would be like med monitor and take care of people, cook their food. So our weekends were completely gone. It was there. And that's how we got the money, just to survive, pay the bills, eat and stuff like that. I mean, it was a struggle. I mean, one of my favorite stories is Wednesdays would come around and Whole Foods would have like sample days. And those were like our most exciting days because we knew that we were going to get an extra eat on. So we just like do laps around Whole Foods and we'd be getting samples from them, peanut butter on bread and some this and that, you know what I mean? So it was hard. And I think the toughest thing was not the financial stuff as much, because we're pretty humble guys. We don't really, you know, we're frugal. We don't go out and buy lots of stuff. But I think it was more just the pressure from our peers. You know, I don't know how often friends of mine would say, you know, when are you going to get a real job? You know, like, you got an MBA, you know, do something with it. You'd be making so much money, you know what I mean? And I would always say to them, you know, like, there's not an amount of money that you could pay me to get what I get when a group of kids come around me and give me hugs and say they love me, you know what I mean? So it was hard, but just sticking to it and knowing that, you know, this is what we wanted to do, and then we weren't going to change what we were doing. We saw the impact it was having in our neighborhood, and we loved it, and now it's our full-time gig. We're finally getting paid to do it, and we're actually able to, those first group of kids I talked about, now they're our employees, so now they are making a living off of it as well, you know what I mean? So it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's basically, you know, the guys are always going to be like, this is for girls. This is, nah, I'm too tough to do this today, you know what I mean? But once you just get them to buy in and really just make that relationship with them, you know what I mean? And show them that, hey, I'm pretty cool and I'm doing this, you know what I mean? So it should be pretty cool for you to do it too, you know what I mean? I always say that once you build that bond with the kid, that I could get them to knit, you know what I mean? I can get some guys and some gangsters to knit if I wanted to, you know? It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Because they just love me and I love them, and showing that compassion and being there for them and having a positive role model in their life, I think that they're willing to do whatever. And then once they see that hey, you know, I live in the same neighborhood you live in, you know what I mean? I like the same music you like. I like sports, I like rap music, I like all the same stuff you do, you know what I mean? Then I think they buy in, you know? Girls sometimes still, they're standoffish too sometimes, you know what I mean? Because still, you know, they want to act tough, you know? I remember this one class we had where, it's probably like 20 weeks of classes that I taught. And there's a group of 6 girls. Every day, they didn't even get on a mat. They went in the back, they're like stepping and looking at their phones and texting and dancing around. And like the last day of class comes around, and I'm like, all right, well, today's the last day. And they're like, oh, no. And I'm like, you didn't pay attention ever, you know, what do you mean? And the girl's like, no, for real, I know all the exercises. And she got on the mat and started doing all the poses. And it was so amazing how even though you thought that they weren't paying attention, they were still absorbing it. They were sponges, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think now it's hard for me to differentiate it because I feel like they're kids and I look at them all as if we're one. I look beyond being boy or girl, you know what I mean? And if anything, girls usually are better teachers when it comes down to because we always have them lead the classes, you know what I mean? So, a lot of times with the boys when they're being disruptive or something like that, we find that as like a sign for they want attention. So whenever I see the knucklehead, I'm like, he's gonna be my best teacher, and I immediately pull him to the front, like, you want attention? You're gonna be my teacher today. You're gonna help me out, you know what I mean? And by the end of the class, they're the ones that are straightening everybody up, you know what I mean? And it's good to be in front of everyone, I think, too, because, you know, it's so often where they're like, hey, they're not listening to me, man. They're being rude. They're not listening to me. And I look at them like, oh really? How's that feel? And his light bulb pops on. I'm like, oh, that's how I am. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why it is that there are more women. I don't. I have no idea with that. I can't really. I mean, yeah. I guess this is how it is. And I think maybe women like the physical aspects of it. You know what I mean? You know, and they see that, hey, I can get a fit body. And women like take care of themselves. Men are slobs. But as far as making a dent, I think we are making a dent. I think we're kind of changing that stereotype that is a teacher. You know what I mean? A yoga teacher. It usually is like a white lady teacher. You know what I mean? And just being who we are and being ourselves and always saying, hey, just be yourself. You know what I mean? And get that concept through. I think it's making a slow change, not drastic. You know what I mean? The majority of our teachers now are men. You know what I mean? So that helps too, I think. But I think it's just going to take time. I think that, as this keeps progressing, just even at the state we're in now, 12 years ago, you said yoga to a kid and they'd be like, Yoda? Yogurt? Like they didn't even know what it was. And now it's becoming such a popular, common thing that I think it's going to spread more and more and more. Yeah. Well, people can always help. They can always contact us and, whether they want to volunteer, donate, whatever, and they're always, we love it. You know what I mean? We got to work together to make this happen. Just come to our website, hlfinc.org. In terms of sharing, we're always here for everyone. I mean, I remember when we first started saying our business model, people were like, that's just so dumb. You're going to go and teach people, and then they're not going to need you anymore. And we're like, well, that's kind of the point, is to teach them so they can take it and they don't need us. And we're trying to help people, get themselves better and be able to regulate and control themselves. You know what I mean? So we're here. You know what I mean? That's one thing we always say. Call us, email us, contact us. We're completely open to. We're not trying to hide our curriculums or say this is ours. I mean, we didn't make this stuff up. This has been thousands of years old. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anyone who can tell you who made the tree pose up. You know what I mean? It's just there. You know what I mean? So all the information you can find on the internet anyway. So we're more than happy to give out stuff, poses, practices, techniques, meditations, whatever. You know what I mean? We're here for everyone. So.